guys, so you guys are wondering how I made my green energy blade, so I decided to make a video of it. I'm gonna use a different color scheme, so I'm gonna be using like a red, like heating up from a red to a dark red. So the way I'm going to go about doing this is I primed the spoon slash the part gray using Vallejo's gray surface primer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just spray the entire part, no matter where I actually want it to be. The darkest to the light, the lightest to the darkest. I'm just gonna cover the entire part in it because it's easier to blend after, like later on. It's easier to blend the colors together. I found is to just color the entire part in the middle color that you would like. That's the way I like to describe. I think about things in shades and, you know, how it actually is gonna look in the end. So I'm priming the entire, or I'm coloring the entire thing in this orange. I'm using the hot orange from Game Air. All right, so that looks pretty good. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make it so the brightest, or the heat source, is coming from the rim up here. And then I'm gonna blend everything out. All right, let's clean this out. Unlike my other video, I would recommend cleaning out the airbrush completely with changing each color, only because you really don't want colors to bleed in from each shade. It wouldn't look very well that way. What I'm going to be doing next is rimming, or where I want the heat source to come from. I'm going to be using white to highlight that, and then I'm going to go over that with the gold yellow from Game Air, if it will focus. Awesome. All right. Yeah, so you want that nice gradient effect where it's brightest at the hottest point, and then you can fade back a little with the white. But that's how I would normally do it. Is I want my brightest source to be the completely white, so it will pick up on that, and then having the white fade into the middle color that you're going to be using helps with the blending process in the end. at about 15 to 18 psi. You don't need a very high psi to do detail work like this. Okay, now I'm going to take the sun yellow to go over the white to make it really bright. Now, another way you can do this is you could technically mix the white and the yellow together. Now, that's all preference. I've noticed that it blends a little bit easier if you lay down the white first and then the yellow, because you can really get that defined. Like, look at that bright yellow fading into the orange already. Like, that looks really nice. Now, I have a part that I worked on earlier just to test it out. This is what I did earlier. Is I actually put the white and the yellow together to get this color. I did the same process though with putting on the middle shade first, and then I went over it with the combination of white and yellow together. I would do a 2-to-1 ratio, as in 2 parts of the color to 1 part of the white. Now, if you're looking for a really, really washed out color, I would do 2 parts white to 1 part color. If you're looking for a really, really washed out look. And you can even take this one step further and make like the very, very, very edge a white, but sometimes that color blending gets too washed out, I've noticed, because I did try to do that on one of like on a test spoon, and it didn't look right. And then when I tried to add more white, I like to stick in shades of 3, so like a dark shade, a middle shade, and then a light shade. It's really easy to work with, and it's really easy to blend, and I find that that's like the best kind of results you'll get is working with 3 different shades and saying like, oh well, I can have an even lighter shade than the light shade. It's like, that's good and all, but like, what is that extra shade really gonna get you, other than maybe trying to be like, oh well, it's not working as well, now I need to go back and tweak the shade before that, and it can get really messy. So I personally think working with 3 shades is a good amount, because you'll get the dark shade, you'll get your middle ground shade, and you'll get your lightest shade. I got a little water on here. All right, so then I'm taking Gory Red, which is a really dark red, kind of like a crimson red almost, to go over to make it come out from the the outer rim over here. So we'll see how this works. Didn't add enough red. Alright, so then what I'll do is I have the general, like I have a dark shade, I have my middle shade, and then I have my brightest shade. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back over this with my middle shade to redefine some, like, I'm going to make this blend a little better with the yellow, and then I'm going to have it blend a little bit more nicely with going into the dark. So it's just getting a rough layout of what you want to have down to start, and then you go back, and then, because it might look a little weird, you're like, why isn't this looking like really well blended? It's like you need to go back and, you know, retweak some areas, which is completely fine. You know, that'll happen. It's like you generally just want to get down the basics first of how you want it to look, and then you go back and refine. You know, I should add a little bit more of the middle color, or I should add a little bit more of the lighter color, and then you keep going back and forth with what you think you need. That's why it can get a little bit more complicated if you add more than 3 shades, because then you can easily lose other shades in the process. Like if you add a 4th shade, like a 4th shade would be like for the, like a white up here, you can easily accidentally lose that white that you would want if you go back over with the whiter color, and then it'll be a little bit harder to blend. Okay, now I'm just gonna go back and redefine that middle layer. You can blend a little bit into the hot color. Don't try not to get any of the orange on the brightest part, but try to just blend from like the middle and then go down to blend in some of the orange with the really deep red. Alright, and that's looking pretty nice. But that's pretty much how you do it. And then if you want, there's some spotty red parts, or the darker red isn't as solid as it could be down here. But what you could do is you could go back over and then go back over with the deep red, and then go back over with the middle color to blend it together. So that's how I go about blending my colors is first I start out with my middle color, then I go to my lightest color to get where I want my heat source to be coming from. And then I go back and I apply the darkest color, so where the heat would be dissipating at the furthest point. Whoops. Oh well, got some paint on there. But that's pretty much how I go about blending, and then I go back over and refine some of the, you know, it looks very blocky, I guess you could say, at the starting stages, and then you can go back over and blend with each shade, and that's how I pretty much did my my green energy sword, except I didn't just use straight colors for that. I actually took a turquoise green and I mixed it with a really greeny yellow, and then I took that greeny yellow mixture, because I use the green yellow mixture for my middle color. And then for the lightest color, I mixed that same green yellow to get the lightest shade. And then I took a really deep green, like a forest green almost, to use as my dark shade and going from the outer edges of the energy sword. And that's pretty much how I went about doing, and how I go about doing any of the energy blades or heat sources. You could even do the same thing with like a blue. So if you say wanted a blue energy sword or like a cold freezing weapon, what you could do is you could take a really nice bright blue for your middle color and then wash that out with white. Now in that case I would use a higher white to color ratio. So in that case I'd probably use a 3-to-1 ratio. 3 being the drops of white to the 1 drop of blue, just to really wash out that blue and make it into like a whitish blue. And then I would go and find a really dark, deep, vibrant blue color to go on the outside of the where the heat source or where the blade is coming from. And yeah, you could even think of it like, so like let's say kind of like a lightsaber. Sometimes you could do an effect like, it'd be really difficult to pull this off, is, so let's say like a lightsaber, you would have the heat source coming through the middle throughout the entire part, but that's really hard to pull off, because you would have to get a really fine, like, this is my bright shade, like right in there, and then the rest of the part would be the dark. But what I would do instead is have it from the bottom of where the lightsaber would start. I'd have the lightest shade, and then going out I'd have the middle shade, and then going to the darkest shade at the tip of the lightsaber. That'd be the easiest way to do like a lightsaber. Any range of colors you could do this same process. But yeah, I hope this was informative and you guys liked it. Let me know in the comments if this helped you out at all, and have a good day. I'll continue making these tutorials, and the more questions people have on how I do some of my painting and all that stuff. So yeah, you guys have a good day and see you later. Bye.